Here is a belief shared by millions of older adults around the world. That cutting back on meat is the responsible thing to do as you age. Too heavy, too fatty, hard to digest, bad for the heart. The message seems to come from everywhere. Today's video is going to show you, using rigorous clinical research, that this belief is not just wrong but potentially life-threatening. For older adults, adequate protein from quality sources, including meat, is not optional. It is one of the most important factors determining whether the final decades of life are spent with strength, independence, and mobility, or in a hospital bed following a fall. Start with this reality. In Korea, more than half of adults over 65 fail to meet their daily protein requirements. Survey data shows that 34.5% of elderly men and 44.7% of elderly women are consuming below adequate protein levels. Other research puts the figure even higher, with roughly 2 in 3 Korean seniors falling short. This is not a minor nutritional gap. It is a systemic public health crisis, with direct consequences that play out in fracture wards and nursing homes across the country every single day. The central mechanism connecting low protein intake to mortality in older adults is a condition called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is the progressive, age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. Starting in the mid-30s, the body loses approximately 1% of muscle mass per year. This accelerates after age 60, with the potential for up to 15% muscle loss per decade. Korean data from 2024 shows that sarcopenia affects 7.9% of adults over 65, rising to 20% in those over 80. Under 2023 Korean criteria, one study reported sarcopenia in 32.9% of elderly men and 21.5% of elderly women. Why does this matter so urgently? Because sarcopenia is not just weakness. It is a chain reaction. Reduced muscle mass impairs balance, which raises fall risk. Falls lead to fractures. In older adults, a hip fracture is frequently a life-altering event, triggering post-surgical complications, including pneumonia, sepsis, and blood clots. Research shows that elderly individuals with sarcopenia face a 3.74 times higher mortality risk than those without it. In men, sarcopenia is associated with a 5.2-fold increase in the risk of death or nursing home admission. In women, the increase is 2.2-fold. The two most powerful tools for preventing sarcopenia are protein intake and resistance exercise. Meat is one of the most effective single sources of the protein you need. Here is the core physiology that explains why older adults need more protein, not less. In young adults, consuming around 20 grams of protein per meal adequately stimulates muscle protein synthesis. In older adults, the muscle-building response becomes blunted, a process researchers call anabolic resistance. This means the aging body needs a stronger nutritional signal to achieve the same anabolic effect that a younger body gets from a smaller dose. Research demonstrates that older adults achieve peak muscle protein synthesis when consuming 30 to 45 grams of protein per meal. To put that in practical terms, 30 to 45 grams of protein corresponds approximately to 150 to 200 grams of chicken breast, 150 grams of lean beef, or 200 grams of pork. Studies also confirm that distributing protein intake evenly across 3 meals produces significantly better muscle preservation outcomes than concentrating protein in 1 or 2 meals per day. For total daily intake, the standard recommendation of 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day is insufficient for older adults. Research on sarcopenia prevention consistently supports a target of 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for adults over 65. For a 60-kilogram elderly woman, that translates to between 72 and 90 grams of protein daily. For a 70-kilogram elderly man, the range is 84 to 105 grams. A plant-heavy diet relying on tofu, rice, and vegetables makes reaching these targets extremely difficult. A 100-gram portion of beef provides approximately 26 grams of protein. A 100-gram portion of pork provides around 22 grams. A 100-gram portion of chicken provides roughly 23 grams. These numbers reveal why lean, unprocessed meat is one of the most efficient tools available for meeting elderly protein requirements. Beyond the quantity of protein, quality matters enormously for older adults. Protein quality is measured by how well a food provides essential amino acids in forms the body can absorb and use for muscle synthesis. Animal proteins including beef, pork, chicken, eggs, and dairy consistently score at the top of protein quality rankings. The specific amino acid most critical for activating muscle protein synthesis is leucine. Leucine acts as a biochemical trigger for the muscle building process, and meat is among the richest dietary sources of leucine. Because of anabolic resistance, older adults need more leucine per meal to activate the same muscle building response, placing animal proteins including meat at a clear advantage over most plant sources. For this specific purpose, meat also delivers a cluster of micronutrients that are especially important in older age and are difficult to obtain in adequate amounts from plant foods alone. Heme iron from meat is absorbed at 2 to 3 times the rate of non-heme iron from plant sources, helping prevent the anemia that contributes to fatigue and cognitive decline. In many older adults, zinc from meat supports immune function, wound healing, and cognitive health, and its bioavailability is higher when consumed alongside animal protein. Vitamin B12, essential for nerve function and cognitive health, is found almost exclusively in animal foods. Older adults have reduced gastric acid production, which impairs B12 absorption, making regular meat consumption even more important. As a natural delivery mechanism, creatine, which supports both muscle energy metabolism and cognitive function, exists naturally in meat and fish and is essentially absent from plant foods. Now let us address the legitimate concern that comes up in every conversation about meat: the links between red meat consumption and cardiovascular disease and certain cancers. This evidence is real and should not be dismissed. However, the critical distinction is between processed meat and fresh, unprocessed meat. Sausages, ham, bacon, and other processed meats carry the greatest documented health risks and should genuinely be limited or avoided. Fresh, lean cuts of beef, pork, and poultry prepared by boiling, steaming, or slow cooking are a fundamentally different food from processed deli meats, and the research that finds benefit in adequate protein intake for older adults refers to these fresh protein sources. A long-term study tracking elderly individuals with frailty over 11.2 years found that appropriate meat consumption was associated with lower all-cause mortality. The current consensus in geriatric medicine is that in older adults, the survival benefit of maintaining muscle mass through adequate protein from fresh meat outweighs the cardiovascular risk, provided processed meats are avoided and portion sizes are appropriate. The method of preparation is also relevant. Boiling, steaming, and slow cooking break down the connective tissue in meat and soften the protein structure, making it substantially easier to digest than grilled or fried preparations. Korean traditional dishes like samgitang, galbitang, and doenjang jjigae with pork are excellent examples of protein-rich meals prepared in ways that are gentle on the digestive system. For older adults who report difficulty digesting meat, switching cooking methods frequently resolves the problem. Here is your 7-day action plan. On day 1, think through your recent meals and identify whether each meal contained a meaningful protein source. On day 2, make sure tonight's dinner includes a serving of meat, fish, or eggs. A bowl of beef radish soup, braised chicken, or steamed pork are all excellent options. On day 3, add 2 boiled eggs and tofu to breakfast. This single addition can raise morning protein by 18 to 20 grams. On day 4, share this information with an elderly parent or relative. Adults living alone are most at risk of inadequate protein intake. On day 5, change how you prepare meat. Choose boiling or stewing over grilling, especially for tougher cuts, and notice the difference in texture and digestibility. On day 6, add a simple resistance exercise to your routine. Sit to stands from a chair, 10 repetitions 3 times. Require no equipment and directly stimulate the muscle protein synthesis that your protein intake is meant to fuel. On day 7, plan next. Weeks protein-inclusive meals as a family and commit to the habit. 7 days of consistent change. Creates the foundation for months and years of stronger, more independent living. The core message of today's video is straightforward. Aging does not justify cutting meat from your diet. Aging actually increases the need for high-quality protein, and fresh lean meat is one of the most effective sources of that protein available. More than half of Korean seniors are already protein deficient. The consequences are playing out as sarcopenia, falls, fractures, and mortality rates that are 3 to 5 times higher than inadequately nourished older adults. Avoid processed meats, but do not reduce fresh, properly prepared meat. Distribute protein across 3 meals daily. Combine it with regular light resistance exercise. And the result is a measurably different trajectory for your health and independence in the years ahead. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share it with every older adult in your life. Leave a comment telling us which protein foods you or your family currently rely on, and we will see you in the next video.